Welcome to African Dream Motivation. Volodymyr Zelensky was born to a Jewish parent on 24th January 1978 in Kryvyi Rih, Ukraine, formerly Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic. His father was a university professor and the head of Department of Cybernetics and Computer Hardware at the Kryvyi Rih State University of Economics and Technology. His mother, on the other hand, was an engineer, and moving back into his family roots, his grandfather was a military man who served in World War II. While a child, he lived with his father for 4 years in the Mongolian city of Edirne, where his father worked. He passed the English test as a foreign language. This helped him to secure an education grant to study in Israel, but unfortunately, his father did not allow him to go. He still continued to study and entered into the Kryvyi Rih Institute of Economics, where he earned a degree in law. But after completing school, he did not go out to be a lawyer. Instead, he decided to follow his childhood dreams, which was to be a comedian. He fell in love with comedy when he was a teenager, and at the age of 17, he joined a local comedy team as they performed in competitions. By 1997, his popularity was gradually gaining momentum as he got a chance to perform at the highest open Ukrainian league of comedy competitions. Together with his team members, they spent a lot of time in Moscow and constantly toured around the post-Soviet countries. He worked so hard and became one of the greatest Ukrainian comedians. While he was living his dream, he had a loving wife behind him through it all. In September 2003, Zelensky married Olena Kiasko, with whom he had attended school. They had their first daughter, Alexandra, in July 2004 and their son in 2013. In his movie 8 New Dates, their daughter played Sasha, the daughter of the protagonist. He has a very nice and loving family. Back in 2005, their show were played all over television and he was admired by many. In 2008, he entered the movie industry, starring in the film Love in the Big City 1 and 2. People loved his act, making him enjoy tremendous success in the movie industry also. Zelensky also played a leading role in the 2012 movie 8 First Dates. He was remarkable, and from 2010 to 2012, he was a member of the board and a general producer of the TV channel Inter. As Ukraine was gradually becoming a strong sovereign state, the government began focusing on movies and craft produced by Ukrainians to further expand the industry. In 2014, the Ukrainian Minister of Culture banned Russian artists from demonstrating their works in Ukraine. Zelensky spoke bitterly against their intention, but it turned on a deaf ear. This, however, went a long way to even affect Zelensky himself, since he had worked on a lot of movies produced in Russia, which were also banned. In 2014, a war broke around the Ukrainian-Russian border, which is popularly known as War in Donbass. The aftermath of the war painted Zelensky black to the Russians. It all began after the Ukrainian media reported that during the war, Zelensky's team donated 1 million hryvnias to the Ukrainian army. This got some Russian politicians and artists angry to the extent that they petitioned their government to ban Zelensky's work in Russia. While all these were going on, Zelensky continued to speak out against the intentions of the Ukrainian Minister of Culture to ban Russian artists from Ukraine. In 2015, Zelensky became a star of the television series Servants of the People. In this series, he played the role of the president of Ukraine. The story of the movie was simple. He won a presidential election after a viral video which showed him ranting against government corruption in Ukraine. Little did he know that this was just the future playing live on stage. While he enjoys success in the movie industry, he still has some of his works banned in Ukraine because quite a number of his series were mostly in Russian language production. Funny enough, the people from the television production company who created the television series Servant of the People, in which Zelensky played the lead role as a high school history teacher, whose viral video made him president of Ukraine, founded a political party and guessed the name of the party, Servants of the People, which was the same name of their TV series. And what made it even more fun was that Zelensky became the flag bearer who was to lead them into the next election in 2019. It was like a joke, but reality was playing right before the eyes of over 40 million people. It was funny until it became serious. Zelensky started his campaign on 31st December 2018. And what made his campaign unique and mind-blowing was that it was almost entirely virtual. And he did it in just 3 to 4 months. In an interview with Der Spiegel, a German newspaper published in Hamburg, Zelensky stated that he went into politics to restore the trust in politicians and that he wanted to bring professional, decent people to power and would really like to change the mood and timbre of the political establishment as much as possible. During the first round of the election on March 31st, Zelensky outmatched the incumbent president of Ukraine, Petro Poroshenko, which took the polls to a runoff. On 21st April 2019, Zelensky won the election with 73.2% of the total vote. One of his presidential campaign promises was that he would only serve 1 term in office. But when he got to power, many people wish he would continue because of how he has shown real leadership. He was inaugurated on 20th May 2019, with officials from around the world coming in to support his surprising journey to the presidency. Today, he is the first Jewish president of Ukraine. One of his major campaign promises was to end the war in Donbas, which was between the pro-Russian forces and the Ukraine's anti-terrorist operations, which was renamed Joint Force Operation. He made advances striking an agreement with pro-Russian forces, but he was heavily criticized by his own Ukrainian people, who feared that the Russians wouldn't keep their part of the agreement. In April 2021, Russia began building a military base on the Ukrainian border, and this brought a lot of fear to the Ukrainians. Zelensky sensed an approaching danger, and matching the ammunition with that of Russia, Ukraine was no match to the world superpower. Ukraine needed protection just in case Vladimir Putin decides to wage war. He pleaded with President Joe Biden to help his country prepare for any Russian surprises. He had also applied to be a member of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, and Ukraine's membership was still pending. Therefore, he urged NATO members to consider his request as soon as possible. On 26 November 2021, Zelensky accused Russia for conniving with Rinat Akhmetov of backing a plan to overthrow his government. The accusations were rubbished, with both of the accused denying the claims. The fear of a possible invasion of Russia in Ukraine was so visible that the United States predicted it happening, and other countries and organizations also saw it coming. On 24th February, shortly before Russia invaded Ukraine, President Zelensky addressed the people of Russia, where he spoke to the Russians and appealed to them to pressure their government to prevent war. He openly refuted claims of Russian government about the presence of neo-Nazis in the Ukrainian government, and went further to say that he has no intention of attacking the Donbas region, and also highlighted his personal connection to the area.
Сегодня я инициировал телефонный разговор с президентом Российской Федерации. Результат – тишина. Хотя тишина должна быть на Донбассе. Поэтому сегодня я хочу обратиться ко всем гражданам России. Не как президент. Я обращаюсь к российским гражданам как гражданин Украины. С вами нас разделяет более 2000 километров общей границы. Вдоль нее сегодня стоят ваши войска, почти 200 тысяч солдат, тысячи боевых машин. Ваше руководство одобрило их шаг вперед на территорию другой страны. И этот шаг может стать началом большой войны на европейском континенте. Мы точно знаем, нам не нужна война, не холодная, не горячая, не гибридная. Но если на нас будут наступать войска, если у нас попытаются отнять нашу страну, нашу свободу, наши жизни, жизни наших детей, мы будем защищаться. Не наступать, защищаться. Наступая, вы будете видеть наши лица, не наши спины, наши лица.
Before the world could digest his plea, Russian President Vladimir Putin had announced that Russia was initiating a special military operation in Donbass. And just like that, missile strikes began and a number of military bases were targeted in Ukraine. The next day, which was on the 25th of February, these airstrikes and missile attacks had gone beyond military bases, and civilian sites were also in suffrage of the attack. As matters were getting worse, the President of the United States, Joe Biden, contacted Zelensky in an attempt to execute a rescue mission to take him out of the country. But surprisingly, Zelensky denied the rescue and demanded ammunition to defend his country from the hands of the Russians. He opted to remain in Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine, with his defense forces. Zelensky gained worldwide recognition as a wartime hero and leader of Ukraine during the Russian invasion. His bravery and perseverance depicts a true hero of war. Historian Andrew Roberts compares him to Winston Churchill, describing him as a global hero. Many publications and international media are celebrating him for standing by his people in life and death situations like this. His resistance, perseverance, and motivation in these difficult times has contributed to the renewed popularity of the salute, Slava Ukraine, which means glory to Ukraine, which is the symbol of the Ukrainian sovereignty and resistance. It is also the official salute of the armed forces of Ukraine. Millions of Ukrainians have fled to neighboring countries, with the Russians intensifying their invasion. The world stands with Ukraine, hoping that the country survives the brutality of Vladimir Putin. With all this notwithstanding, Volodymyr Zelensky has proven beyond reasonable doubt an undisputable bravery. He is the greatest symbol of hope for the Ukrainians now and the world at large. If a comedian can become president and stand by his armed forces to defend his country against the ruthlessness of Russia, anything is possible. Thanks for watching this video to the end. Let me know what you think in the comment section. If you are new here, don't forget to subscribe and click on the notification bell. Also, share this video with anyone you believe will love it as you did. Thanks again. See you in our next video. Until then, have a nice day.